Bitcoin just made an all-time high, and I want to give you guys a update with my price target for what's coming next for Bitcoin. Now, obviously, Bitcoin just smashed $125,000 yesterday, which is incredible to see. And this is coming as no surprise because we're going through a government shutdown. We have a lot of uncertainty when it comes to the macro environments. You see gold going to all-time highs, and you just see a lot of confidence breaking within the market. And so I think that Bitcoin is being looked at as a flight to safety, which, you know, if you go back to 2009, that's why Bitcoin was essentially created. And I think it's taken a long time for the narrative to kind of, sink in when it comes to Bitcoin, because obviously, gold was the first thing that started really going towards its all-time highs, and that really signifies a break in the system. Now, you can't ignore that there's been a massive push for crypto when it comes to the US markets. And just realistically speaking, like around the world, like every single country is trying to adopt Bitcoin because it's kind of being looked at as a universal currency that is made to fight inflation and kind of stand on its own in a time of uncertainty. And I think now is just the most important time to be involved in at least Bitcoin, but in my opinion, just crypto in general when it comes to stablecoins. I think that the US is on a path to where they're not going to be able to reset the debt. And, we're just like, they can't pay it off, you can't reset it. And so what do? And what makes the most logical sense is, do something with Bitcoin and stablecoins to either opt out of the system or kind of find some way to combat the inevitable collapse of the dollar, because there's just, like I said, there's no clear path. And so I think that, obviously with Bitcoin hitting an all-time high, considering that it's a weekend, and typically you don't really trust like a weekend pump because it's usually low volume and it creates a lot of space for people to manipulate the price in whatever direction they want to go. But I think that, with the price action of Bitcoin, especially because everybody thought, Bitcoin is going to go to $100,000 or whatever the case may be, and it really quickly just started turning around, and it's kind of been up only ever since, really since the government shutdown happened. And I think that when you kind of look at everything through a different lens, I think that the government shutdown was very strategic on Trump's part, because the other party is kind of playing right into his hands, and now he kind of has all the cards when it comes to what he wants to do. And you also looked at you look at his administration, and they're all pretty much pro crypto, and you have to ask your question, why? And banks are very, they're draconian, as a lot of people would say. My bank account actually got shut down last week for no reason, and I had to go back and forth with them asking, why is this being shut down? It's only, when I started really transacting with crypto that I've had any issues, because I've had them for 10 years. And I think that the banks see the writing on the wall, and they kind of see that they're going to become obsolete, especially with stablecoin integrations. And so all of this to say, I think that Bitcoin stands the most to gain, because a lot of people are looking at this as a flight to safety and a way to combat inflation and keep their purchasing power. So I think that what happens next is, obviously we're going into Q4, which is historically very bullish for crypto. And I think that now with the pressure of the spot buying from the ETFs or just the Bitcoin treasuries and all that kind of stuff, I think that it's going to make the bear cycles look a lot different. And I think that we're going to have a constant bid on at least Bitcoin and any kind of cryptocurrency that has either a spot ETF or some sort of treasury that's trying to accumulate these assets. And I think going into Q4, it's historically, like I said, a very bullish time. I think that Bitcoin is going to continue to catch a bid, and I think that we're probably going to see a next price target of, I think that the immediate one is around $140,000, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin trading above $200,000 in the first quarter or so of 2026. And, obviously there's going to be some, bearish trends and all that kind of stuff. But when you look at the whole debt and how the macro environment's playing out, it's really shaping up to position Bitcoin to be the main beneficiary from this. So that's my price target for Bitcoin. And going into the altcoins, I think that Ethereum is also, it's showing a lot of strength. And I think that is going to go well into the 6,000 to 7,000 range. Obviously that's going to put Bitcoin, I would probably think, in the 150-ish range as well. And, people on like crypto Twitter or whatever, they have no shortage of what they think is going to happen. And it's been mostly like a doom and gloom. Like everyone's been saying like it's just going to go down, and they think it's going to go to like 90K or whatever. And it's usually a good time to like take a contrarian view when it comes to when everybody's bearish, because the market cycles never end when everybody is just like calling the top. And like your favorite influencer is always saying like the top is every like month or so because of the charts or whatever, but they don't take into account that there's a macro trend going on. We have the monetary system changing as well. We have the drop of interest rates coming. I think that, it's pretty much a lock that we're going to get a interest cut in October, and then we'll probably see another one in December is my guess. And so what happens when money becomes cheaper, you tend to see the price of assets go up, and you see people wanting to take on a little bit more risk, because in a spot where we have very uncertain, inflation readings, and you have a cheaper dollar, you see gold going up. It just shows a lot of uncertainty when it comes to the macro environment of the world, and people want to protect their money. And I think that as Bitcoin continues to start getting more adopted, it kind of creates a self-fulfilling prophecy, so to speak. And I think it's only going to go higher when you take into account the market cap of crypto in general as compared to gold or real estate or the stock market. There's just so much market share that Bitcoin has to make up. And like I said, I remain very bullish. I'm going to continue to update you guys with what I think is going on, but I think that October is going to be very crazy. Starting probably tomorrow, I want to see what all the headlines say about Bitcoin smashing an all-time high. So again, I'm going to be doing a giveaway at 1,000 subs. So make sure you smash the like button, share this video with a friend, and let me know in the comments what you guys want to see next. I'll see you all soon. Bye.